Welcome to the DYNAMO Show. I am your host, James Erdt, the Chief Architect of WOW for a brand called DYNAMO Entrepreneur. We support experts in living well and doing good around the world in their communities, but not only putting the oxygen mask on the world, also putting it on themselves. We have a 5 F-word system: food, fitness, family, finances, and fun, and having that proper work-life balance so you too can inspire other individuals to elevate their game. And we have a really great guest here today, Daniel Hanna. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, before we get into some of your musical genius, because that's what you are, I would love to talk a little bit about the story, you know, maybe when you were a youngster. How did you get inspired to get into this?
Well, actually, I'll never forget, you know, being at a young age and watching my family, my uncles, they used to play the drum whenever they would get together with the family and make up songs and have a good time. And I remember I always wanted to get involved and let them hear me out. So I remember going down into my basement and picking up the drum and practicing, because I always said, you know, next year they're gonna hear me.
So it's always been in your family? Is it a musical family?
Well, not. I mean, I've had them in my basement, but I mean, nobody really played with them other than when they got together and just
together jam sessions,
jamming together. But
yeah. So maybe take it back to kind of where you began this as more a professional. You know, let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, the first time I actually performed in front of people, I was in high school, actually.
Okay.
And
that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, well, I was in grade 9.
Okay.
Of course, freshman
high school
in
students
high school.
Can be very unforgiving.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I actually did my performance, and I remember that I got a little bit of backlash from people. You know, just kind of a little bit of teasing, a little bit of booing. And,
how'd that make you feel?
To be honest, I mean, that was enough fuel and
empowering.
It was empowering because it made me really want to get better at it and actually learn how to incorporate it into different genres of music and different styles and be heard.
Now, do you play other instruments?
Well, I do get, I mean, as long as it's got to do with the hands. I mean, I'm percussion, hands. I mess around with some sticks, but
do you sing
I mean,
at all? Any singing lyrics?
Singing, not really. No. I've never had that opportunity. I mean, I've always been into the drums, but I mean,
So if somebody wanted to get into like this particular instrument, it's called the doumbek, correct?
It's called the doumbek, yes.
Yeah. You know, what would they have to like go to like a drumming school? Or do they just pick up? Do they go to a bongo circle? Like how would they get into that?
Well, I mean, really, there's some technique to it, of course, and once you
like
get
everything,
and then on of course the age of the internet, online, you can find out a lot of different techniques and do a lot of self-learning, which is I did a lot of that as well. But I was fortunate enough that I had somebody who knew how to play the instrument, and they gave me some technique, and I just had to practice them, right? And
so if you were to say, okay, we're going to give, you know, our 6 million viewership a little bit of a lesson on the doumbek, would you kindly do that for us? Live?
Yeah, sure.
Let's try it out. Let's try it out. Walk us through it. Walk us through maybe like a little bit of a beat or something.
All right. So, I mean, really, it's all in the fingers and the hands, of course. At the top here, you've got some, close to the rim, you get like a little bit of a lighter sound. So it's and then you just kind of.
I love it, I love it, I love it. And I know it goes a lot louder, but because we're on the show and our audio levels, we'll keep it to kind of that. However, if you were to be like in, you know, let's say 5 years from now, you know, what would you say is the ultimate in regards to your musical career?
Well, so actually on Instagram, I've really recently started to put out more covers and, you know, collaborating with different Canadian artists. And
such an amazing vehicle,
you know,
Instagram. It's
yeah,
just like it's exploding, And it's very niche. The nice thing about it is you're going to find other people that are into this quickly versus like even Facebook, which is kind of like a blanket effect.
Yeah,
right?
and that was the thing about it, is that, you know, right now I've had a lot of different interest on it, and just kind of they hear the sound and they see how it's Danny Drums _ on Instagram. You know, I incorporate it with all different genres of music, whether it be country. I have some Indian music on there, you know, some hip hop, of course, and R&B and house music. You know, whether it be Chainsmokers or whoever it is, really, that I'm kind of listening to, and I like the beat, go out, shoot a video, put it on Instagram, and
you getting a good response?
Yeah, good so far. I mean,
nice.
Truly, I've been really thankful for everybody who's shown their support, and
Who inspires Danny Drums?
Danny Drums.
Who's your inspiration?
My inspiration. Well, I mean, there's a lot of producers out there that really they produce some very powerful music, and I would love to collaborate, of course, with, you know, some of the greatest, Dr. Dre being one of them. I mean, that's when it comes to the hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, and there's quite a few. Well, I don't want to put a limit on it, because you know, I would love to collaborate with anybody. And I'm
music is music.
Music is music. It's a universal language, brother.
It is. It is. Now, I know you're not only into music, you're also, you know, involved in car sales, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about that. You know, I know you got a Lamborghini on your card, so I like Lamborghinis. So.
Yeah. Well, King's Auto, actually, we it's a family business.
Yeah.
I work with my family, and we're just we've been doing this for a long time. My father opened up the business in '94.
Oh wow!
So I was a youngin', you know, going out washing cars and going in and collecting my $2 bill for for washing the cars.
So detailing the cars.
Yeah.
Right on, right on.
And I went to business school, and that's what takes up my daytime, and of course at night is my
and how often are you doing this? Is it like kind of like a once a week kind of thing, or?
Well, I mean, I really do it just because I love it. So I whenever I find the opportunity, I will pull it out.
So you prefer this over the cars?
Oh well, if I could do this
in a Lamborghini.
In a Lamborghini?
Yeah.
No, just
that'd be a good Instagram video.
Yeah, for sure.
Dangerous one. Don't try this at home, kids.
But really, I mean, if the opportunity comes around and I'm able to actually touch lives with it, truly, and create music with you know, others who have a similar dream and passion, I would love to do that.
How hard would it be to teach? Like, let's say there's a group, you know, hypothetically speaking, I'm opening up a ranch for at-risk kids, right? And they're gangbangers. A lot of kids. It's a gang exiting program from the 13 different priority neighborhoods around the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. We're always looking for different things that will get these kids empowered, so we can help them find their purpose and follow a positive, you know, action versus a negative action in their life. Possibly somebody might be interested in getting involved in music with this particular instrument. So let's say you were to come into the ranch and you got 12 youngsters there between the ages of 14 to 17. Would this be something that would be easily taught within like a 3-hour session or so? Is it something like, if we got them all a little drum, is that something that would intrigue you?
You know, I actually really enjoy doing workshops, and I've recently in the past done workshops with kids as young as junior and senior kindergarten, all the way up to high school, and you know, that's something that I feel that if you're focusing your energy on learning something, you know, it can prevent you from putting it into some of the negatives, things that
awesome,
these
What's
youth
something
are
like that
themselves.
worth, if you don't mind me asking?
This one in particular?
Yeah, that's pretty fancy. Yeah. You got like pearl and stuff going on.
Yeah, this one,
here.
it's blue pearl on the outside.
Yeah.
You know, it's all hand laid. This one in particular is about $800.
Yeah.
But
it looks like $800. Yeah, it looks nice.
But you can pick one up, you know, relatively cheap, around $100, $200, $300. I mean, they do have different styles, and it depends if you do want the pearl or if you want to just get a basic one.
Have you ever been to the Drummers Circle in Montreal, at Montreal, like at the base?
You know what? I haven't, but I would love to do that, and that would be
epic.
That would be amazing.
Worth the trip.
Amazing experience.
Worth the trip. Yeah.
Sure.
Sunday mornings, Montreal, at the base.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday. In the warm weather. I don't think they go out there in the middle of the winter. You know, but it's pretty beautiful. I mean, they bring a lot of instruments, but I think the main instrument is percussion.
Oh yeah.
Right. So any sort of a percussion instrument, you get a little odd salsa here and there, but it's.
This drum is it could be just because of the way it sounds. You know, sometimes it can be very, very crisp, so it'll stand out in a big.
Yeah. I heard you banging on it before. I was like, okay, we got to tone it down for the show, but you know, it's an incredible instrument. And you're obviously very talented at it. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And I'd love to see, you know, an opportunity, and maybe we can bring you out to the ranch and get these kids trained on it.
Anytime.
All right, man. Very cool.
My pleasure.
Danny Drums, I am James Erdt. This is the Dynamo Show. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this short commercial break. Welcome back to the Dynamo Show. I am your host, James Erdt, the Chief Architect of WOW for Dynamo Entrepreneur. We are going to keep things going with my good friend, Edwin Zapata.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming to the show. I must say, I'm a big fan of you, and not only kind of what you do, but who you are. Okay, and I was just talking to one of our other guests that knows you, Zolt, that came on to one of the earlier shows. And we were just speaking about your personality and how magnetic you are in regards to the compassion that you have for people. So I must commend you on that, because I think it's very important, because not too many people have impressed me the way you have, and the things that you've brought to me, including the United Way gig, you know, speaking for the United Nations
Yes.
of Canada Association. That was very, very cool. So thank you for that. So just sending you an attitude of gratitude. Just keep being who you are. Right?
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the journey. Let's talk about, you know, how did Edwin become this amazing person?
Well, in a sense, all your life experiences really make you who you are, how you choose to identify with them.
Mm-hmm.
But what came to make me who I am had to be going through, you know, poverty sort of background sort of thing. It really helped me stay humble and true to my roots.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So once I got to see an opportunity where I can do more with my life and basically expand my imagination, really that's what helped me want to give more, and it helped me become who I am.
Any big life experiences, like any that really shaped you?
A big life experience, I'd have to reflect back on my early teenage years back in high school.
Okay.
Because back then we didn't have much money, we didn't have much. So I reflect back to when I only had one pair of shoes, a pair of jeans, one sweater, maybe 2 shirts, and $2 was my lunch money for the week, if I even had that.
Okay.
So I'd have to maybe try to play dice and gamble to try to make some extra money and determine which day I was the hungriest. And I could determine which day was actually colder than the other by how quickly my toes would get numb because of how cold it was.
Oh, wow. Wow, okay, so you experienced some pretty tough stuff as a youngster. You know, how did that kind of stuff shape who you are now?
Well, the holes in the shoes really helped me understand, you know, using something to its fullest, but maybe that was a little overboard. But with that, I learned to just keep it simple. And now that I can have more shoes and more clothes, I just keep it to what I need. And I've learned to make things last to what I need it for.
The word that's like on the tip of my tongue is resourcefulness.
Yes.
You know, I've been in very similar situations. I ended up in the streets in Toronto with nothing. All I had was a backpack, you know. But to become incredibly resourceful to survive, you know, now I'm thriving, but I'm still very conscious of those roots and what it's taught me. You know, it really makes us savvy individuals, right? When you learn that. You know, if you were to talk a little bit about personal development, because I know you're big into that, and mindset, etc. You know, do you train the mind very similar as you would the body? Because I know you're kind of into the whole mindset thing.
Well, absolutely. It took me a while to really figure that out, that they actually go hand in hand.
Okay.
Because I was never very athletic to begin with as a child, although I did enjoy sports. And it wasn't until I started to get into the gym and working out that I started to realize, hey, really this is all just a mental game. Like, for example, the other day, you know, we shared that you gave me some advice, just do it. When it came to doing some cardio, I was stuck on the mind frame of right now I'm at 10, 15, 20 minutes, and even that was a challenge.
Yeah.
And you're showing me, like, you know, over 55 minutes and still going strong, and you just said, just do it.
Yeah.
So the next day I just
simple,
went for it. Yeah. So I just went for it and I did it. Before you know it, I'm at 20 minutes, 23 minutes, 26, 30, and then before I know it, it's like, what was I so afraid of?
Yeah. We start to measure these things and incrementally increase. You know, even when you get up in the morning, you know, it's one of the things I use with my students. You know, getting up at the 5 a.m. club. I'm part of Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. club, and people are like, "How do you do that?" Right? And then like you, I say, "Can I give you some advice?" And they're like, "What's that?" Just do it. Right? So when you say those 3 little words in the morning, you jump out of bed and whoosh, away you go. Right?
Yes.
No complaints. Right? So let's talk a little bit about, you know, the public speaking that you're involved in now, and a little bit about your professional career.
So with the motivational speaking and the professional career, I'd have to relate it back to my experience with my mom. Like a lot I owe to my mom, so I stay humble in that sense.
Yeah.
But I remember her listening to Tony Robbins as a kid. I didn't even know what he was saying at the time. I just remember hearing the music.
Yeah.
So I just hear it go, and with that I got to, like I shared earlier, I got to hear different mindsets.
Yeah.
So when I got to apply it in my adult years, it really helped me understand that I need to give back. So with my professional speaking, really the main focus is giving back and providing value to others. So although there's sales involved, really it's not about selling, it's about selling yourself and being your best self.
I love it. Now, you know, I know you were involved with the United Nations Association of Canada, and that's kind of how we met, as you invited me there. What inspired you to get involved with an organization like that? What is it about that organization?
Well, that I'd have to actually give thanks back to my beautiful girlfriend.
Okay,
because,
great.
She was actually involved with it, and I liked what she was doing. It had to do with youth, and having been youth myself, like anybody else, I know how troubling it can be. So I thought, hey, you know, I'd like to contribute. She helped me get involved, and it just went from there, and, you know, let the universe unfold itself, and here we are.
I love it. Now, as a coach, you know, and you know, I'm not necessarily, you know, up to speed with what you coach. Is it more of a lifestyle coach? Is it a nutrition coach, a fitness coach, or what type of coaching do you do?
Well, I always like to say sales training and coaching.
Yeah.
But sometimes people get the wrong idea. They think it's like selling products and services, although that is a part of it. Essentially, it's really selling yourself and the best version of yourself, because really you can't sell anything, any material object or service.
That's a great point.
Until you sell yourself on yourself. And then you can sell yourself to others in the most positive way. Some people use it for negative. That's their choice. I don't promote that. But it's about really selling yourself on the best version of you.
And then obviously, you know, before you can sell yourself is being the best version of you, you know, mind, body, and spirit, and just really holistically taking good care of ourselves. A lot of people forget that, you know, they're always taking care of everybody else, but to get selfish in health, we have what's called the 5 F word system: food, fitness, family, finances, and fun. And having a balance of all 5 to become the best version of you, and then do exactly what you just said, sell yourself, right?
Exactly.
So very, very cool. Now let's play a game. Let's say if you know, we had Edwin in the future, 5 years from now, you know, money's no object. What is Edwin doing?
Money's no object. Really, I would just be helping people, doing a lot more community work, traveling with my girlfriend. We wouldn't be boyfriend, girlfriend, that's for sure by then. and really just spending time with my family, just keeping it simple and humble.
I love it. I love it. Okay, on a final note, maybe if you were to share 3 nuggets of wisdom, Edwin wisdom, if this is the last day on the planet, what would you share with some of our viewers?
If I had to share 3 nuggets of wisdom, one would be the best version of yourself, absolutely. Help others, and give back, definitely.
I love it. And how do they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Edwin Zapata, or Facebook, Edwin Zapata, or my website. Can I share a website?
Yeah,
yes.
Please feel free. Yeah.
EdZapata.com.
I love it. I love it. Edwin, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an honor. You know, I'm sure we're going to cross paths many, many, many times, you know, and thank you for referring our lovely guest that was on an earlier show with us.
Thank you.
So this is the DYNAMO Show. Here we are today. We've had some great guests already, and we're going to tune in to one more. Stay tuned after this short commercial break. Welcome back to the DYNAMO Show. I am your host, James Erdt, the Chief Architect of WOW for a brand called DYNAMO Entrepreneur. We support experts in living well and doing good, and we have an expert here today, Charlene Day. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm such a fan of your work. You know, it's just great to have you on the show. You look ravishing, by the way. You know,
I thought I would match your color scheme.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
I love it. I love it. You got the teal going on.
Oh, right.
Very good. The Tron blue, you know, we like to call it. So, before we get into the business of Charlene, let's talk a little bit about the journey of Charlene. Let's talk about, you know, some of the highs and the lows and some of the challenges that you've encountered, because I know you've had quite a colorful life. So, care to share?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, as a child, I was with a family where my father got transferred every 2 years.
Every 2 years. Crazy.
And so I had the wonderful experience of going to new schools, making new friends.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about it was, of course, leaving the friends that I made and having to start all over again.
All over and over. What did he do, if you don't mind me asking?
He worked for National Cash Register, and so every 2 years he got up the ladder of success.
Yes.
On his end, for the family's end, it was not so pretty, right? Because like one of the, well, actually it's got a good and bad story, that when I hit Newfoundland, I didn't have the same, they ended at grade 11.
Okay.
Ontario ended back then at grade 13.
That's right.
It was like I skipped 2 years.
Oh my.
And so when I went into that school, I failed. I failed everything that needed a background.
Yeah.
And so I had to then come out of that school, get sent back to Ontario to finish, because, well, back in those days, they didn't, in Newfoundland, they didn't let you repeat a class. Like, you could not repeat.
That's it.
You had to go to secretarial school.
Okay.
So I went to my mom and I said, please, I don't want to be a secretary.
Yeah.
And so she went and, bless her heart, got a job and sent me back to boarding school so that I could get my, at that point, grade 10.
Oh, wow.
And so I was so grateful for that, because otherwise I'd be a secretary somewhere. Okay. And did you continue after that? Did you go into further education? I did. I kept on going. And then when I hit where I asked my parents, could I go to college? No one had gone to college, and they said, sorry, we can't support that.
From your family.
And so I had to figure out a way to get to college, because I was determined to get to college.
Good for you.
And so I did that by getting loans and working part-time and making it happen.
What did you take in college?
I took social work.
Okay. Not secretarial?
No.
Okay. So you got into the social work field.
I think because of my background and the family not being very happy, I thought maybe I could help people by getting into social work, including my own family.
Okay.
And so I got into that, and then got into different kinds of jobs, but I didn't really like them.
No.
And so that's why I decided to become an entrepreneur, because I needed to be my own boss.
So even at a really young age, you kind of knew that and you wanted to move into the entrepreneurial space.
Yes.
Do you remember
yes.
your first entrepreneurial gig? What were you doing?
What did I do first? I was actually selling crafts.
Selling crafts, okay.
Yeah, I
cool.
used to make crafts and sell those.
Yeah, what kind of crafts?
Macrame
Yep.
and necklaces and all sorts of things.
Beadwork.
Beadwork,
Right
yes.
on.
I got into all that kind of thing. Very
Very cool.
creative and got into that.
And you would like sell them?
And I would go every weekend and go to booths and sell them. And
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what, like trade shows
Yes.
and flea
Yep.
markets
Yep.
and all over the place?
Yeah.
Where really buy that kind of stuff? Yeah, that's great.
Way back now we're talking, but
Yeah,
yes, that was
yeah.
one of my first ventures of
You
getting.
learn a lot though, eh? When you
Yes,
get into
'cause
something like
then-
that,
then-
especially the people skills that's
Exactly.
required, right? It's so important as an
Exactly.
entrepreneur.
Exactly.
You know, to meet them and build that relationship, and then hopefully have them know, like, and trust you in a very short time frame, so you can make a little bit of something off them, and deliver some exceptional value. What would you say are some of the biggest lessons you learned as a youngster?
That it's very important to make sure that your customer is happy.
Yes.
That to really make sure that it's something that they want and not that you're not forcing anything on them.
Yes.
And so that was one of my first big lessons. It's like making sure they really wanted what I had there.
Everybody, how do you say? Everybody wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So then you got out of that, and what was your next step?
Well, then I had this amazing weekend away that was a health weekend.
Oh.
And
yeah.
so that opened up the door to holistic health for me.
Another world.
Whole other world.
Yeah.
And I
So you were hooked right as of that weekend.
I actually had read a book, Diet for a Small Planet, had become an instant vegetarian after I read that book.
Wow.
And then when I went on this weekend, I learned I wasn't doing vegetarian right.
Okay.
And I got violently ill. And so the guy
Really?
took
Even though
me-
you were already somewhat vegetarian.
I was eating very acidic foods. And I've actually done a little ideal basic diet showing the difference about acidic and alkaline foods. Would you like to see it?
I would love to see it because I'm all into the alkalinity right now.
And so
Right.
basically fruits and vegetables are all about your alkaline foods. And
Okay, very cool, very cool.
and the rest of them go out into the extreme acidic foods.
So what kind of foods should we be avoiding? Because
Well,
I know there's a lot of people that watch this show that maybe their diet isn't all that great. I
Right.
don't even like the word diet. It starts with die.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Starving yourself,
Yes.
etc. Right? But nutrition plan. If you were to give us kind of the basics of a nutrition plan that you would recommend, what would you say?
Well, ideally, which I put on that, is that if you did 80% alkaline and 20% acidic foods, then you would be extremely healthy.
Yeah.
And when I went into this weekend, I was eating 80% acidic foods and 20% alkaline foods.
Oh, quite the opposite.
That's why I got so violently ill. So he took me under his wing and taught me everything, and put me on a cleanse for a week, and I was hooked in terms of educating others about acid alkaline and.
I love it. I
how
heard that
to-
even cancer can't survive in an alkaline body.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So, I mean, that's quite a simple fix.
Yes.
Just really switching up what you're eating and being very conscious of the acidic intake.
Exactly.
I mean, how long does it take for somebody that is overly acidic to kind of turn things around if they were to start, eating better and making good choices? Does that acidity stay in the body for a long time?
Well, that's a really good question, because what happens is we have cell turnover all the time.
Yeah.
And it takes, when we look at our body, we have soft tissue and we've got things like bone, but the soft tissue actually will turn around within 3 months.
3 months. Oh, wow.
And so 3
It's not
months,
that long at all, is it?
3 months it's going to take to actually turn around from being very acidic to more alkaline. Because then the new healthy cells are coming in, and then it's easier to.
When you were acidic, just so we can make it relatable for other individuals that are watching, what was your diet like? Because you were eating relatively good, you thought.
I was eating vegetarian, but I was eating a lot of dairy.
Dairy, okay.
And dairy is very acidic.
Yeah.
Because everything from the cow was, the cow milk, which is big. People usually drink that or eat it as ice cream or cheese. And I was a cheeseaholic. And I was eating it in great abundance, very acidic, and that's what got me ill. And it turns out I was quite allergic to it as well.
Oh my.
So I got off all that and have been extremely healthy ever since.
I guess it's really hard to know that because we're kind of programmed at a young age, you know, to have that as part of our regimen. And then you don't really even know that you're allergic to it or you're having a bad reaction to it. If you're constantly eating, you're just thinking, this is the way things are.
Yeah, well, my mother didn't know, and we grew up on it, and I was sick pretty well my whole childhood.
Oh my.
Because she didn't know that I was allergic to it. I didn't know I was allergic to it. Not until I went to a naturopath when I was 21, I think. And he said, no dairy, none.
No dairy, figured it out. And since then?
I've had none.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely
No cheese?
None.
No?
No.
Wow.
Absolutely none. Because I feel so much better.
What is your favorite vegetarian food?
My favorite thing right now is chia seed pudding.
Everybody say cheese. Chia seed pudding.
Yeah.
Oh, wild. Very cool. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about your professional. We're going to talk in about 2 minutes. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be right back, so hang tight. Welcome back to the Dynamo Show. I am James Erdt. I'm sitting here with the lovely Charlene Day. Great to have you on the show. Let's continue our conversation and let's talk a little bit about you as a leadership coach. You know, what does that actually mean? What does leadership mean to you?
Well, leadership to me means the leader within. It means making a difference, using your gifts, the ones that you came in with, and bringing them out into the world, and making sure that what you came in with is given to anybody that's waiting for your gift, because we all have it.
We all have gifts?
Everybody.
Does everyone have a purpose?
Absolutely everybody.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. I love it. I love it. I love it. When did you figure out that you're kind of a leader to help people become better leaders?
Well, I started taking various different personal development courses because I'm big into personal development.
Yeah.
And
were you always big into personal development? Because I mean, you know, back in the day when, you know, the 80s, 90s, you know, it was you know, the Jim Rohns, the Tony Robbins, the Robin Sharma, you know, all these guys, you know, and now it's evolving so much and there's so many more players in the industry. Who were some of the leaders that inspired you?
Well, all of the above that you just said.
Yeah.
And I guess Bob Proctor was one of the ones that I saw years ago when he had red hair. Way back.
Yeah.
And he said the word spiritual to me, and I bonded with him because he spoke my language at that point in terms of saying the word spiritual. And I went, oh, okay. So I lost track of him, and then I found him about 6 years ago and started studying with him.
Oh, studying with him.
Yes.
Oh, great.
And so then that's led me into the leadership coaching. So I use that kind of work in the coaching that I do, and have great clients that are able to really work with what it is going on in here that's stopping them, because basically we're a bundle of habits that we came in with, that we learned from our parents and school and all that. And for a lot of us, when we get as adults, those habits don't exactly work anymore.
No.
And so we need to find those ones that are getting in the way, get them replaced. A lot of people think we've got to get rid of them, but it doesn't work. We actually have to replace them. And so I actually wrote a book to actually give you some ideas about how to replace those habits.
I love it. You know, and the book, what I love about your book is right now there's a big trend going on about hustling and grinding, you know, and I always talk about flow. I always talk, you know, there's the hustle and then there's the flow. Like, why work hard when you can work smart?
Right.
You know, so let's get into the flow. Let's talk about your book. You know, the 30 Laws of Flow is something that, you know, is obviously a passion project of yours. And it's a fantastic read, by the way. You know, it tells us a little bit about the inspiration behind it first.
Well, I was in my personal development. I kept looking and seeing laws at different places, and I went, wouldn't it be nice if it was all in one book? So I thought, well, let's see if we can just pull a bunch of them into one book. And laws are like universal truths. I mean, that's really what they are. And so
7 laws or 12 laws?
Well, the 7 are the basic ones.
Okay.
So that's the basic ones, and then there's the 12 laws, and in other words, there's different versions of laws.
I guess it depends on where you're studying around the world.
Right, but the basic 7 are pretty concrete from everybody,
wherever you go.
Everybody's version of it. So, so those are the first 7 in there.
Yep.
And then I went into different people and looked at what they did and brought in the ones that I thought might be appropriate for the flow, and there they all are. And then
it's amazing when you get close to really studying them and how those laws affect each and every one of us at every moment of every day.
Yes.
But when you really get good at flowing with those laws, the magic.
Yes.
The magic.
Yes.
Happens.
Absolutely.
Explain that. Go in a little bit further depth around that. You know,
around
what happens when you really pay close attention to obeying the laws?
Well, I'll tell it through a story.
Sure.
Because I had a day of flow. It was probably a few years back now, but I woke up and I just felt amazing, and decided to go to it was a health fair actually. And when I went there, people asked me, "What do you want to help out in this booth?" I said, "No, I just am here. I just want to be here and enjoy." And I met somebody that I hadn't seen for a long time, and we got talking. And he said, "You know what? I'm invited to this other event later on. It's actually a dance, which I love to dance." And he said, why don't I take you with me?" And so I said, "Sure." He said, "The only caveat is it's a potluck." I said, "Well, I happen to have just made a potato salad last night."
Great.
In other words,
timing.
everything that needed to happen was there in the flow. And the whole evening I was in such an energy that it turned out there was only 4 guys at this dance. They were all asking me to dance because I was in the flow. So it's a vibration. It's an energy.
Yeah, it's magnetic.
Yes. And so when you actually are in that, then people, as you said, will be attracted to you because it's going to the law of vibration utilizes the law of attraction. And so when you are in the flow, people are going to just come to you.
They resonate.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
So now, this project here, has it inspired other projects? Like, what would be the next project that you're working on?
Well, there's actually one that I wrote that's a spiritual book, but it needs pictures. And when I meditated on it.
Spiritual pictures.
Pictures of nature. Actually, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just.
What's that book called?
I haven't named it yet.
Ah.
Yes, but that would be what might be the next book.
What's the first name that pops into your head right here, right now?
Well, Law of Harmony just came.
Ta-da-da-da! Harmoniously created. I love it. The Law of Harmony. Yeah. Harmony is such a beautiful word.
Yes.
You know, it's like I just came back from India, and you know, outside of coming home with the greatest gift ever, which is absolute humility, harmony was on the tip of my tongue the entire time I was there. And what I saw in India was very, very, very wealthy, and very, very, very poor people harmoniously living together. And I was trying to figure out why and how they can do that when here, back in North America, it's so chaotic. You know, you come here and it's just, we're spoiled for one, you know, incredibly spoiled. And it's just beautiful to see a culture that's, you know, so ancient as the Indian culture that, you know, a lot of these laws are ingrained in their society and their upbringing and how they are. You know, especially the law of attraction, you know, it's karma, right? You know, what you're putting out into the world is what you're going to get back. You know, you throw a big loving hug into the universe, you're going to get a loving hug. You throw a punch, what's coming back?
A punch.
Right? So, and it's just wild to see and explore this word harmony, but it just brings me back to memories from there. What does harmony mean to you?
Being in tune with who we really are, because who we really are is a spiritual being having a human existence. And when we really get that and really feel that, we're in harmony because we're being real then, because that's who we really are.
I love how you phrased it as well. It was, you know, when we tune into being in harmony, like tune, right? So I think success, you know, is not something we reach. Success is something we tune into.
Yes.
It's a frequency. It's like
Yes.
AM and FM,
Yes.
right? You know, when we're in AM and we're in a negative vibration, not that AM's negative, but just when we're in a negative vibration, fear, despair, grief, anger, shame, very low resonating, we're going to attract more of that.
Yeah.
When we tune in love, compassion,
Yes.
kindness, abundance, joy, joy
Yes.
is like true north, right? So
Yes.
it's just the tuning in.
Yes.
You know, and then when we tune into a higher vibration, such as joy, amazing things happen. Magic happens, right?
Exactly.
So where would you say, you know, you're going to be in like 5 years from now? What are you going to be doing?
Probably the same kind of thing. I love helping entrepreneurs, and
Yeah.
so I will be still helping entrepreneurs be the best they can be, finding their gifts, bringing it to the world, and making the
cool.
world a better place.
Now, if you were to share one nugget of wisdom, if this was your last day on earth, what would you share to our audience?
Well, that you are a spiritual being having a human existence, and find the gift within. Find what you came here to do and share it, because somebody is waiting for you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so, so much, Charlene Day. So my gift is to bring Charlene to you. This is the Dynamo Show. As always, I'm very, very, very grateful for having you all tune in. Please stay tuned. We're going to bring you back to episode number 45 very soon.